This video is going to be about painting your tessellation and first laying down your pattern to paint your tessellation. First, you are going to choose which color scheme you're going to do. So are you going to do complementary, analogous, or monochromatic? And this is how you're going to do it. So I personally am going to be doing complementary, and unlike the demo, I am going to be doing blue, orange. Instead of dark orange, I'm going to do light orange and light blue, and I'm going to also add dark blue. The minimum amount of colors that you will have is 3. So if you choose to do analogous, which is 3 to 5 colors right next to each other on the color wheel, the minimum would be 3. You can do 4, like this one is 4 colors. Or if you like this color scheme, you could add a 4th color, which would be just, I believe, so maybe like a red-orange on there. It's totally up to you. If you want to do monochromatic, if you really loved, like I loved this red-violet color, I could do monochromatic red-violet. I would just blend that color first, do my flat red-violet, and then add water to it to do a light red-violet, or add black to it to make the dark red-violet and lay that down. Totally up to you what you do, which colors, which color scheme. So personally, I am going to be doing the complementary colors, orange and blue, which are right across from each other on the color wheel. To start, I think it's easiest for my brain, it might help you, to write out your colors like the initials first. So the colors I'm going to pattern with, I'm going to write them out on the side. So I'm going to be doing blue, orange, light blue, and dark blue. So I'm not doing dark orange, and that's okay. You don't have to. But I just have to have a minimum of 3 colors. So I have 5. Next, I'm going to start laying this out in pencil first on my paper. When you do this, you got to do this really light, just because we don't want it, it's going to show through a little bit, but we don't want it to be the focal point of our shape. And you can actually go back and erase this later. So this is so that we have our pattern down, we don't make any mistakes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start doing this in diags. You never want 2 of the same color side by side right next to each other. Now, if they're in a diag and they touch at a point like right here, that's okay. That's what we're going to do. And I'm going to show you the easiest way to pattern. You don't have to do it this way, but it's the easiest way, I promise. So I'm going to start, and I don't necessarily have to do it in this order, but I'm just going to go off that. So I'm going to start with my blue, and I'm going to do a diag. So this one's going to be blue. So I wrote a B for blue there really lightly. Then the next one over in the diag, right here, B for blue. Next one over, and it gets kind of tricky when they go off the page, but you just have to think about the pattern, where would it be, and it's right here. So this is B for blue. And then up here, this would also be blue in this corner. Then next, I'm going to do orange, and you might have some repeats, so I might have another row of just flat blue. So then I'm going to do orange. So orange in the diag here, 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 and here. And then so on and so forth. I'll do light orange, light orange, light orange, light blue, dark blue. And then back here, I'm going to restart. I believe this one would be dark blue, I think. But whatever your pattern is, you just follow that. But the biggest thing is to make sure that you do not have any of the same color side by side. If they only touch at one point, that's okay. And then you have a minimum of 3 colors. I'm going to start with just my flat blue because I don't have to mix anything. So keep this in mind as you are painting. Once you paint a diag, avoid going right next to your painting. With watercolor, as you know, it'll bleed together. So say I do this row of just flat blues, and then maybe I skip this row right next to it, and I work on the light blues after that. My brush will already have blue on it, so I'll just take a little bit of that pigment off to create a light blue with the watercolor. That way this has time to dry, so then when I go in with the orange, it's not bleeding into the blue and we have those nice fine lines. So I'm gonna get my brush wet and add my pigment. And I was, by the way, very impressed with the color wheels. You did really well, considering if maybe you've never used watercolor before. All right, so now I'm going to just start laying this color in. And my advice to you is for these corners, if you have a paintbrush, and you should have a paintbrush that's maybe got a flat edge. I have a watercolor brush just in here, so it is a little bit easier. But if you have a brush kind of like, let's see, something like this, or something like that, or these ones are good as well, that have an angle or a flat edge so that you can bring it around and line it up with that line that you drew. That works really well. Otherwise, if you have something like this works fine, or maybe you use a couple different brushes. And with watercolor, you kind of want to work fast. I paused here, so I don't want to mess that up. So I'm going to work kind of quickly here, but my craftsmanship, I'm staying inside the lines as best as I can. Now I'm going to, I would probably normally, if I was just working by myself and not recording a video, I would go on to paint these other blue ones right in a row. So this one next would just be the same color, blue, but I'm going to skip ahead for the sake of this demo. And I'm going to do the light blue. So again, I'm skipping this section so they don't bleed together, and I'm going to go and do my light blue. So just making sure, and if you want to test it first, I have this little piece of paper. So that might be okay, maybe a little less pigment. And I'm just going to start laying that down on my paper. Okay, there's my light blue. I could move on. If I was doing this normal, just do these ones. Now I'm going to go through with my, let's see, this I think is dry enough. So now I can go through with my orange. If you want to be fancy, you can mix your red and yellow together, or most of the palettes, have the secondary colors. So it's going to be up to you. I'll leave it up to you if you want to blend it or not. I'm just going to use the straight orange. I'm not going to mix red and yellow together. So my flat color, do the same thing, just start laying this down. Next, I'm going to do my light orange. So same thing I did with the light blue. I am going to just add a little more water to this and a little less pigment. And lastly, I'm going to do the dark blue, and I'm going to use my tester for this and maybe my palette to mix. So to make sure I have the right ratio. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of the dark orange, but I like dark blue. Dark blue. What I'm going to be looking at when I grade this is, did you stay inside the lines? Is your watercolor craftsmanship good? Did you blend your paints well? Do you have an interesting color scheme? All of those things. So enjoy making and coloring in your tessellation.